Hello, my name is Alfred Harth, and sometimes I'm called Alfred 23 Harth, which means 23 in German, of course. And by the way, 23 in Hangul. 안녕하세요. Well, I got started very early in a younger age. My parents, they uh, presented a record to me which had Charlie Parker, and I really got addicted to his music. So I started also reading biographies by Parker and all the jazz greats at that time. And that made me a fan, so to say, which was leading to a wish playing an instrument. And since I was doing the flute, the kind of, it's called the recorder in English, I think, I switched over to clarinet. And before I was selling my electric train to afford buying the clarinet. And yeah, from there I started in the neighborhood, meeting a jazz pianist. He was doing the New Orleans at that time, and he was teaching me the blues, this blues scheme, and which was a challenge at that time when I was a teenager. And but I kind of managed that and didn't want to play for myself only. So I had the chance to form small groups, which was the first one was a New Orleans band. Yeah, after a while doing some gigs, and also I formed another, or not another, but the very first club in Frankfurt. There was a possibility for us to perform more frequently. Each weekend we had open house, and we're doing sessions, inviting other musician fellows, and later it became a kind of center for the arts, also the visual arts and experimental groups. So I gave it the name Zentrum Freier Kunst, which means Center for Free Arts. And so I could set up my first New Orleans band and my first club, and shortly later there appeared some records from the States in our circle, records by Coltrane, of course, and Albert Ayler, Jimmy Jeffrey, and those kind of records of free jazz. So we took a new orientation in music. In other words, we started doing free music from that time on, and also the personnel in my band was changing due to several other reasons. Yeah, that was the beginning of the creative times, I would say, in my career. Yeah, the beginning was actually in the 90s, when I had a carte blanche from the Frankfurt Jazz Festival to form something for the festival, put a group together. Yeah, that was 95. And my context, or my idea, my concept was to do something about Korea, South Korea, or Korea in the whole. And I called that evening Hanguk, the country of the unfulfilled wish. And I used some scores from traditional Korean musics, and that was the basics for the evening, in a kind of suite, leading through the evening these different songs or fragments. It was more like fragments from Korean music. It was not a real potpourri of very well played songs. Also, it was integrated with the improvisation together with saxophonist David Laurie, bass player Fred Hopkins, drummer Dougie Bowne, and myself. So that was the early beginning of works from my side in context with South Korea or Korea in general. And then later at the end of the 90s, my wife and me, we wanted to move over to New York, which at that time was, or for a long time, maybe still nowadays, is the city of the artists. And so we wanted to start a new life, going out from Germany into the States. And we were looking out for some place to rent. And at that time, we got the invitation from Seoul, Samsi Space. There was a kind of grant, is that a word? Grant place in Hongdae, Seoul. And the idea was we could spend half a year there together, diving into the Korean spirit. That was great. So we were thinking it's better to take this chance instead of carrying on with New York City, that idea. So we first wanted to do this half a year in Korea. And shortly before, I had been here in Seoul giving a concert with Kang Tae-han and Park Chang-soo and Park Jae-chon on drums. A little bit had an idea what was going on here already. So, but during that half year, which was starting in 2001, I really got fond of the city in Seoul and of South Korea in general, and really loved it. So we decided to stay here for a longer time. And in the very beginning, World Trade Center catastrophe was happening in September 2001, and which was also giving us another push, because at that time most of our friends were leaving in the aftermath. They were leaving New York City, and political things were changing by Bush. He was that by his wars, and so the political climate was not very appetizing in the States at that time. So it was really not difficult for me to come over to South Korea. I was really happy being here. Since still nowadays, I'm happy being here. Yeah, the title of the evening at MOS is Lapattefaitmal, which is French, of course, and talks about the handwriting, the signature of artists, right? And the question is, do artists have a signature, or is it essential for their work to have a signature? In mercantile thinking, of course, it's good to have a signature. Everybody knows that something in the art field or in the music field that you can recognize and you can remember, that sells better, right? This is the law, so to say, of mercantilism. And there is one famous person whose name is Marcel Duchamp. He was picking up Lapatte, the signature thinking, and he was seriously at his time wanting to not fall into that trap. In other words, he was trying to find another way beyond the signature. Or again, in other words, he tried to be so diversified in his expressions that it is really hard to find something that is a lookalike or that is a signature. Ah, this is Marcel Duchamp. Ah, yeah, here we recognize him again. This was terrible for him in a way, and he wanted Not at all. His desire was to jump out of that track, which was this kind of behavior was still very on, or very, how do you say, many artist friends of his were following this track of having a signature at that time. And by this revolutionary steps he was doing in his art creation, he was becoming the father of concept art, of conceptualism. This is something that we only can analyze from nowadays when we look back into his history. But at that very moment of his creations, it was very challenging and needed a lot of courage, I would say. That was a great point in art history. So in a modest meaning, I want to dedicate it, the evening at MOS, to that thinking, to that trying to find a way beyond signature. Of course, everybody, we are all human beings and we have our own character. And by nature, by our inner being, we have this signature. We can trust about it, right? If we do something or if we don't do something, if we relax or read or work, it doesn't matter. We always have our character, which is our signature. So, but there could be something that is working in a paradoxical way, like if we look back at Marcel Duchamp's challenge, right? There could be something beyond the capitalistic, so to say, energy or wanting to sell art or to make a living out of your art. So there could be another way. There could be something that we still look out for and search for it. So this is the message behind that evening, or behind the title of that evening, Patte Fait Mal.